Are you a pro wrestling fan? Then odds are at some point in your life, you were a backyard wrestler. In this new series, I'm going to take you through how we came from this to this. It's a long story, covering nearly 2 decades. But if you're a nostalgic person missing the backyard days of yesteryear and a simpler time of the 90s and early 2000s, this is the story for you. This is Backyard Wrestling Cinema. Welcome to Backyard Wrestling Cinema Season 2, Episode 18. The last 2 shows following TJ Money's title victory didn't air. I started to lose faith in TJ Money as our champion. Rico DMF and I were at each other's throats in real life, and it was all about to boil over. We actually did an awards show to open the show. It wouldn't air on TV, it was just for us, and I actually had spent a lot of time putting this all together, putting things in envelopes, making nominees, picking out who was going to be doing the reading of. It just was a lot to set up, and I remember spending a couple days working on this. And I remember in particular, Ricky, who I already had an issue with, kind of was poo-pooing the whole thing, and it really rubbed me the wrong way. And that could have helped escalate what was about to go down.
You missed all your awards. You have to tell me.
As far as the show, the High Rollers came out. TJ Money was supposed to be our locker room leader. And to me, at this time, he was just constantly playing wrestler. Even though it's backyard wrestling and we're all playing wrestler, I felt he was taking too many things off WWF or WCW TV. And there was this constant barrage of weed jokes and marijuana jokes. And on this episode, they actually drew nipples on Mary Jane's shirt. It was all just stupid that I thought could potentially get us kicked off TV. So needless to say, I was frustrated. Cobain versus Tim the Enforcer was up first. And it was unnecessarily dangerous.
Another horrendous! Oh my god! Stupendous! Oh my god! The Enforcer looks angry. He goes, oh no, again! The post looks weak! 1, 2, 3!
I was just feeling like the show was getting away from me and getting away from what I and what we wanted it to be. Every match had weapons and lacked story. Every promo had cursing and lacked story. It was just becoming a bad show or parody of a bad wrestling show. In the end, Cobain got the win after more weapons. Benjamins versus Mumbles was up next for the United States title as Mr. Benjamins would defend the gold. After weeks of Mumbles costing the Beast matches, he finally came out and cost Mumbles, once again, with a weapon.
Oh! They're playing him out with that one-hand shot. The overhand strength of the Beast is monumental. Oh my god, folks. Benjamin's going for him. Oh, he got him on the shoulders. Oh! Now he's over the shoulder Benjamizer. 1, 2, 3, and your winner.
Knowing that the show was starting to get away from us, we started holding meetings on the Hill during the matches so I could kind of go over with everybody what I thought they were doing well, what I thought they could improve on. And this was just from almost a producer level. So during this match, I wasn't doing commentary, but there were some notes I needed to yell to Ricky, who was doing commentary at the time. So he hit something earlier. There was just some simple mistake, and I just said, no, not yet. I wasn't mad about it, wasn't upset about it, but he was frustrated with me, and I was frustrated with him, not in that moment, but just in general. And because he had that frustration and we both had that tension that had been building for months and months, he just looked at me. He had my clipboard in his hand, and I don't remember if he broke it or he threw it down. But I know that I just felt everybody's eyes look at me. And I looked at my then girlfriend at the time and said, all right, well, we're going. It's his house. I'm not going, these are not words I'm saying, but it's my thought process at the time. It's his house. I can't tell him to leave. I'm not going to be disrespected by it like that. I'm not going to fight him like over a clipboard. So I'm just going to leave. And when I tell you wrestling was my life, that's no exaggeration. Getting up and leaving was not an easy choice, but staying and let somebody do that to me was something I couldn't live with. Now, like I said, he didn't do anything that bad. He threw down a clipboard clipboard because he was frustrated. He thought maybe I was calling him out or something like that. It was just everything was perceived wrong, and I left. You can actually hear on camera right after that match finishes him asking me, "You going home?"
You going home?
And I don't even know that I answered because the tape stopped filming at that point. But I know the second I left, TLD had some remarks about me. And the funny part is nobody there liked TLD, nobody. And I wanted to push him, and I had started to push him, and I kept him around because he was reliable and he was a part of the show and was there every week and committed to it. But nobody wanted him there. And as soon as I left, from what I was told later on, and a couple people verified this, he said, "Well, F him, we don't need him." And Tommy Thunder, who was my real life best friend, just looked at him and said, "You know you're gone, right? Like, nobody wants you here. Absolutely nobody wants. He's the only guy who wants you here. You have no friends." And that day we were supposed to film a boxing match between TLD and Tommy Thunder, and there was no way that was going to happen. That was actually set to happen next, but because of what happened, they did an angle where Tommy Thunder got yanked out of it and somebody wore a mask. And the whole time it looked like they were just goofing around, and it was just another backyard show with no structure. And it didn't even seem like, watching the footage now, it doesn't even seem like they're having fun, which, you know, it's always my go-to excuse when stuff is bad. Like, hey, at least we were having fun. And I know that after I left, Rico had jumped up on the deck in this big dramatic thing. And, you know, maybe he didn't break the clipboard. I think TJ Money broke the clipboard as this big, like, finding, like, I'm gonna rally the troops thing. And I think the idea was that TJ Money would run the show going forward. But this show wasn't done yet. They were still kind of finishing up what I had wrote. Next up was Mr. Benjamin's took on the number one contender for the World Championship, Cobain, with TJ Money as the special guest referee. Mr. Benjamin's got the win, thanks to help from TJ Money. Tommy Thunder came out, did a promo, said, "Hey, since the owner's not here right now, I'm gonna take over and, you know, do things in his absence."
As you can see, my partner, my hetero life mate, Denver Street, is not with me today. He's not here right now.
He set up a three-way match between Tim the Enforcer, himself, and the Beast. It was more weapons, more of the same. Beast gets the win. Slug versus TJ Money was up next, and they ran out of tape in the middle of the match because nobody thought to look at the camera. It was a bunch of weapons again, a bunch of nonsensical run-ins. It couldn't even be edited to be aired on TV. The match actually never even had a finish. It was just a bunch of run-ins.
Going off the top. It's 3-on-2.
But at the very least, it looked like at this point, people were at least having fun. Like I said, TJ Money was supposed to be the new leader, and they were gonna kind of let him run the show now that I was gone and I had officially quit. But no shows would happen for 2 months. Everything just came to a standstill. We didn't do anything. We just aired repeats on public access. And the feud between myself and Ricky was pretty intense. And what made it worse was we had to work together. We worked together at KB Toys, so things would go unresolved for quite some time. I was gone, and Rico DMF had no interest in picking up the pieces and trying to run the show himself, because he had tried to do that in the past with his own company, the BWL. Everything was up to TJ Money, and as I said, no shows would happen. We'll see you on the next season, Backyard Wrestling Cinema.
Oh, they nailed him. By TJ Money. No, Katie. He won't face.